I didn't get a chance to talk about this last week because I was under the weather, but Kendrick Perkins and Kevin Durant got into it on Twitter. It all started when Russell Westbrook made his return to Oklahoma City as the Rockets took on the Thunder. Kendrick Perkins, who now I think officially works for ESPN, he tweeted out in about 30 minutes, I'm about to give my opinion on why I believe Russell Westbrook is the best player to have ever put on an Oklahoma City Thunder jersey. He is Mr. Thunder. So Perkins got into a back and forth with a media member, I believe, who said he put together the best career within that organization, but he's definitely not the best player to have put on a jersey for them. Come on, Perkins. Kendrick responded by saying, hey, Kevin left the door open and Russ walked right in. And again, this person responded to Perkins by saying, I think Russ walked right through the door called second round of the playoffs 3 straight times. Perkins said Kevin Durant lost in the second round without Russell Westbrook when I was there. So what does that mean? And here comes, I want to call him number 35 so bad, but his new number is now number 7. Here comes number 7 of the Brooklyn Nets. KD logged on social media. And he responded to Perkins, who was talking to someone else. I don't know who let KD know that Perkins was on Twitter talking mess. But KD said, yeah, we did lose in the second round. And our starting center, who was Kendrick Perkins at the time, by the way, averaged a whopping 2 points and 3 rebounds during that series. You played hard though, champ. So Perkins responds with a very weak response out the gate. He said, fact on the averages and fact on the championship part too. Then Perkins responded again by saying, boys, stop. And he got personal with KD. He said, boys, stop. You did the weakest move in NBA history. Up on a team 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals, and then you go join them the following season. The heart of champions right there. And then KD responded with an emoji. And that was it on that. Yeah, KD immediately took it to a place of, here's what we did on the court. And Perkins got personal with what moved KD. And I believe all those guys on that former Celtic team. Look, we saw Kevin Garnett come out a few weeks ago and say, you know, we dogged LeBron. We wasn't afraid of LeBron. We made LeBron choke, essentially. And now you see Perkins coming out and saying, yeah, KD, what you did when you joined Golden State, it was the weakest move in NBA history. So what I want to do right now is go to a fellow former NBA player, Gilbert Arenas, who had his own podcast. He does a great job. I want to give you guys what Gilbert Arenas said about Kendrick Perkins and Kevin Durant's back and forth. Then I'll come back with a little bit of more commentary here. Here's what Gilbert Arenas said. He said, Kendrick Perkins, everyone has their opinion about what KD's Golden State move was, and as a hooper, you should have put more thought into what you said, so I'll give you a history lesson. In 2012, a young and up-and-coming OKC team went to the finals being inexperienced. They lost to the Heat. In 2013, the team didn't succeed like they would have wanted in that summer. OKC ownership made the dumbest move by not securing Harden. If you can put Harden back, KD, Russ, and Harden was a more powerful combination than Curry, Clay, and Draymond Green of the Warriors, which later became the team to beat. Golden State won a ring. It could have easily been OKC's three-peat if Harden never left. But let's keep moving. So now 2016, OKC takes a 3-1 lead to Golden State, and they lose. Cavs won a championship that season. KD is a free agent. Here's what short-minded thinkers fail to realize with KD. He had no choice. OKC was moving backwards in progress. Now here's why KD had no choice. You sit on your TV with push your rings and legacy down kids and fans' throats. So KD's a free agent at 27 years old with a sheet that looks like this. 7-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA, 4-time scoring champ, 1-time MVP, 2-time All-Star MVP, 2-time gold medalist. There's not 5 players in NBA history that can say they were first ballot Hall of Famers by 27. The only thing needed as an individual player was a ring and a Finals MVP. Now let's take a look at players, or opinions, excuse me. Only 2 teams that could give him those 2 boxes, again, the championship and Finals MVP, were Golden State and Cleveland, who were the champs. Being the champs, Cleveland wasn't making a move. Actually, let me say this better. Cavs being cheap asses wasn't going to sign KD. Dan Gilbert bought that team in 2005. The biggest outside free agent they have signed was Larry Hughes in 2005. That was 15 years ago. Contracts have doubled since then, and they're still the biggest outside free agent signings. So the only team that's left was Golden State. Someone checking boxes off his NBA career, that wasn't the smartest move he could have had. I'm sorry, Kendrick, but everyone is not lucky enough to be a sorry-ass rebuilding Boston team. And Bam Bam 2X Boston players, Danny Ainge and Mikal, does a deal that makes you a champ. Now you think you light-skinned with your chest out. P.S. I agree with 99% of the stuff you spit, though. Yeah, that's Gilbert Arenas' take on it. One of my closest friends listens to Gilbert Arenas. I think he spit a lot of BS in that post. Most of what he said is actually factually wrong. He said Cleveland doesn't spend money. That was the flagrantly most wrong thing he said. Dan Gilbert and the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think they led the league in luxury tax like 2 or 3 years in a row when they got LeBron back. So that's a lie. That's actually just inaccurate. Something else he said the biggest sign that they had was Larry Hughes in 2005. So let me get this straight. It doesn't count when an owner re-signs a guy, because they still had to pay LeBron. Kyrie did get another contract in Cleveland. Kevin Love got a big deal in Cleveland. Yeah, I just don't think Gilbert Arenas is factually correct. But let's get into the meat of what he said. KD didn't have a choice but to join either Golden State or Cleveland, right? Let's get into all that, what Kendrick Perkins says, Kevin Durant's responses. First off, Kevin Durant is not doing nothing right now. You know he's going to have his phone in his hand. We knew this would happen. I thought Perkins was a little bit out of bounds with that second response, but look, I get it. Perkins is trying to keep his job with ESPN. Looks like he feels like he left some money on the table in his NBA career. Perkins trying to get a bag right now with ESPN. So he's talking whatever he needs to be said to be controversial and make some money, make some headlines with ESPN. And obviously, him and KD getting into an exchange, it helps his brand, right? I get why he said it. I thought it was in poor taste if KD's your man and your friend, right? So let's get past that. Gilbert said KD only had 2 options. I think that's wrong. If KD is this Hall of Famer that you say he is by the age of 27, he didn't need to go to a stacked team. If I recall correctly, there were a few other teams that if you put KD on their roster, in theory, that should have put them over the hump. A la the Boston Celtics, who had signed Al Horford. If I add KD to that mix, in theory, that should put them over the top. In theory. There should be at least 5 to 8 other teams. In theory, if I put a Hall of Famer in your interpretation, Gilbert, if KD's a Hall of Famer at the age of 27, in theory, if I put him on at least 5 to 8 teams, he should be able to take them from good to great. Again, I'm not saying he needs to be by himself, but if I put him with another all-star or 2, KD should be able to get them over the hump. Now, I have to go back and look at who had salary cap back then. I'm just putting it out there. I don't agree with Gilbert Arenas, and I think KD and Kendrick Perkins should talk behind the scenes. That's my take on the whole Kendrick Perkins, Kevin Durant fiasco. You into sports, we got you. NFL news, I got you. NBA news, NBA highlights, NBA full coverage, feature stories, all that great stuff, I got you. We even got a little bit of Madden and 2K mixed in. Subscribe to this platform, and I got you. More quality content on the way. Subscribe.